Good evening, good people, and welcome back to the Wildcats and More podcast. I'm your host, Deshaun. I told you I was back. I know it's been a couple weeks since I last recorded, but the Wildcats and More podcast is back, and it is back for good. Now, if you're a Kentucky Wildcats fan, or if you just like sports, you are in the right place. Now, if you want that over sensational, biased, irrational bullshit that ESPN got, you in the wrong place, because I try to be as rational and unbiased as possible. But I mean, sometimes I can be a little biased, but if you want that over sensational shit, you in the wrong place. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Now, for those people who are Kentucky haters, well, I've got good news for you. I really don't have much to say about Kentucky, because I mean it's July. I mean, nobody has gone back to school yet. I mean, all the athletes are doing is practicing. Kentucky added another transfer to the football team. I can't remember his name, but I believe he played for Mississippi State last year. And John Calipari is looking for another non-conference opponent for the basketball team. I don't know who he's going to choose, but hopefully he doesn't pick somebody that's a pushover. Hopefully he'll pick someone that will at least challenge us. I'd be fine with Gonzaga. I'd be fine with Indiana. But he's probably not going to pick Gonzaga or Indiana. I mean, he'll probably pick somebody like, I don't know, Northwestern or some shit. I really don't know. But yeah, I really don't have anything else to say about Kentucky. But yeah. Madden 23 comes out within the next month or two. I don't know the exact day, but Madden has already came out with their ratings, and I just want to talk about the ratings and give my thoughts on them. So here it goes. Yeah, I had to make my little handy dandy notes here. Start here with the quarterbacks. According to Madden, these are the top 10 quarterbacks: Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, and Matthew Stafford. Now, Tom Brady was rated as a 97 overall. Aaron Rodgers is a 96. Mahomes is a 95. Allen's a 92. Joe Burrow's a 90. Dak's a 89. Justin Herbert is 88. Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson have the same rating at 87, and Matthew Stafford's at 85. For the most part, the only change I would make here is, there's a couple changes I would make. First of all, I agree with most of the names here. The only name that I would drop is Dak Prescott. Now, I ain't saying Dak's a bad quarterback. I mean, I'm not a Dallas Cowboys hater. The only time I really root against the Cowboys is when they're playing against my Titans. But I mean, I think Dak's good, but he plays great in the regular season. In the postseason, Dak is a mixed bag. He might play good, he might not. I mean, but so far in his career, he's been mediocre at best in the postseason. Now, me personally, I would replace Dak with either Derek Carr or Kyler Murray. Now, granted, Derek Carr, he's never won a playoff game. I get it. But Derek Carr is a really good quarterback. It's like I was telling one of my friends when we were talking about football. I said, Derek Carr is like Matthew Stafford. He's a really good quarterback. He's just stuck in a not-so-good situation. Although the Raiders this offseason they made some moves in order to help Derek Carr. So we'll see what he does this offseason. Kyler Murray, I mean, I think him and Dak, they're both good quarterbacks. They're both dual-threat quarterbacks. They can hurt you from the pocket. They can hurt you with their legs. Now, Kyler, I don't know. I think I'm going to go Carr I think I'm going to replace Dak with Derek Carr instead of with Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray, he's kind of in the same boat as Dak, because Kyler Murray plays great in the regular season, but he's inconsistent. Like last year, Kyler Murray, first half of the season, Kyler Murray looked like an MVP candidate. Second half of the season, Kyler Murray was a mediocre quarterback at best. And he didn't look too good against the Rams in the playoffs either. So, yeah, I'm going to go Derek Carr. Now, my personal opinion, this should be the top 10. Mahomes should be number 1. Nothing against Tom Brady. I used to hate him when he played for the Patriots, but Tom Brady's 44 years old. Even though he is 44, he's still a pretty damn good quarterback. I mean, he threw for over 5,000 yards last year, and I think he threw 42 touchdown passes. So, yeah, he's still a hell of a quarterback, but he's 44. He'll probably play for 2, maybe 3 more years max, whereas Patrick Mahomes is in the prime of his career, and barring injury, he should play at a high level for another 10 years. I mean, Mahomes does things I ain't never seen a quarterback do before. Like, this motherfucker be throwing sidearm, no-look passes. Hell, even Patrick Mahomes' completions are a thing. Excuse me. Patrick Mahomes' incomplete passes are a thing of beauty. Like, even when he misses the mark, even when his receivers don't catch it, man, his passes are just still beautiful. Yeah, Brady, I would put at number 2. I would put Josh Allen at 3. Nothing against Aaron Rodgers, but Rodgers sucked last year in the playoffs. I mean, the Packers got the number 1 seed, had a first-round bye, and what does he do? Yeah, he threw for 225 yards against the 49ers, which, I mean, it's 225 yards. I mean, I know Rodgers can do better than that, especially considering what he's done in the past. But, I mean, it wouldn't be, the 225 yards wouldn't be so bad if Aaron Rodgers had like 3 touchdowns that game and they won. But they lost. He threw no touchdowns, he threw no interceptions. He didn't do enough to even put them in a position to win. Like, the Packers literally got beat by the 49ers special teams. Like, I can't remember the last time I seen a team lose in the postseason because of special teams. Now, Josh Allen, on the other hand, even though the Bills lost to the Chiefs in the division round, Josh Allen gave it his all in that game, and they were in it till the last second. But yeah, I gotta say, Josh Allen, he proved me wrong. I mean, I really didn't think he was going to be this good, but he's a damn good quarterback. Josh Allen is pretty much what Tim Tebow would have been if Tebow could actually throw the ball. But yeah, so Josh Allen would be my number 3. Aaron Rodgers would be my number 4. Joe Burrow at 5. Agree with that. Now Joe Shiesty, he's a damn good quarterback too. Usually the Super Bowl runner-up doesn't make it back to the Super Bowl. I mean, it hardly ever happens, but I can see the Bengals making it back to the Super Bowl and possibly winning it, as long as they don't have to play the Rams again. I mean, Joe Burrow, that man got swagger out the ass. Like, I wouldn't say I've never seen a quarterback with more swag, but he's got a lot of swagger, he's got a lot of confidence, and as long as there's time left on the clock, you can't count Joe Burrow out. I mean, I didn't think it would happen this fast, but he's already made the Bengals a championship contender, and he's only been playing for 2 years. So, excuse me. Yeah, number 5 is right for him. 6, I would go Herbert. He's another young quarterback on the rise. He threw for 5,000 yards as a second-year player and almost had the Chargers in the playoffs. 7, yeah, I would put Matthew Stafford at 7. I mean, he's a Super Bowl champion, and he's always been a great quarterback. He just never had a good team to help him. But now he does have a good team, and hell, the Rams, even though they lost Von Miller, they still got better this offseason because they added Bobby Wagner and they added Allen Robinson. Like, honestly, of course, I could always be wrong, but I'd be surprised if anybody other than the Rams wins the Super Bowl next year, especially if Stafford plays great again. So, yeah, Stafford 7, Lamar Jackson, I'll keep him at 8, Russell Wilson 9, and, yeah, Derek Carr at 10. Let's see, offensive lineman. Yeah, I wouldn't make any changes here. Trent Williams is a 99 overall. He's the top-rated offensive lineman in Madden. And then they got Zach Martin, who's a 98. Tyron Smith and Quentin Nelson, who are 95. David Bakhtiari, who's a 94. Teron Armstead, who's a 93. Lane Johnson, who's a 92. Tristan Wirfs and Corey Linsley, who are 91. And Ronnie Stanley, who's a 90. Yeah, I wouldn't make any changes here. Cornerbacks, they got Jalen Ramsey, who's the top-rated cornerback. No argument here. I mean, opposing quarterbacks try to avoid throwing it his way. He's never going to lead the league in interceptions because of that. He's a shutdown corner. I don't watch a whole lot of Rams games, but I mean, I've hardly ever seen Ramsey have a bad game. I rarely seen him get burnt. Like last year in the playoffs, he only got burnt once, as far as I remember. Now, that was against the Buccaneers when Mike Evans beat him for a touchdown. The Super Bowl, I'm not gonna hold that against him. I mean, T. Higgins grabbed his face mask, and that's why he fell to the ground. So I'm not gonna hold that play against him. Jair Alexander's number 2. I mean, he's a damn good cornerback. Then there's Tre'Davious White, Darius Slay, Denzel Ward, Marshawn Lattimore, Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson, Marlon Humphrey, and A.J. Terrell. Now, the only change I would make here, I would drop A.J. Terrell and add Xavier Howard. I would drop Tre'Davious White to the 6 through 10 range. Good cornerback, but not top 3 good. And plus, Tre'Davious White was injured last year. But, yeah, Ramsey and Jair, 1 and 2. So I guess I would move Darius Slay up to number 3. Great player, bad team. He's played he hasn't been in the NFL very long, but he's spent his career with the Lions and the Eagles. The Eagles, I mean, yeah, they were in the playoffs last year, but I don't really see the Eagles contending for the Super Bowl anytime soon. The Eagles might not even make the playoffs this year. So, yeah, Darius Slay would be my number 3. Denzel Ward would be my number 4. He's in that conversation. He's been one of the best cornerbacks in the game since his rookie year. You gotta have him in the top 5. He's a shutdown corner along with Ramsey and Jair. 5, Marshawn Lattimore. He's in the prime of his career. He's only 26. He's getting better. I could go either way with Denzel and Marshawn, but I'm gonna go Denzel 4, Marshawn 5. Stephon Gilmore, yeah, I put him at 6. And then I put Tre'Davious White at 7. And then J.C. Jackson, Marlon Humphrey, Xavier. Yeah, Stephon Gilmore, he's not getting any younger, but he's still a damn good cornerback. I mean, he spent half the season with the Patriots last year before they cut him, and then he goes to the Panthers. Now he's with the Colts. There's no excuse for the Colts this year if they don't make the playoffs. Like, they got rid of Carson Wentz, even though Matt Ryan is not getting any younger. I think he still might be better than Carson Wentz at this point, at this age. They've got a good defense. They got a good, strong running game. So there's really no excuse for the Colts if they don't make the playoffs this year. But yeah, I think Tre'Davious White is better than J.C. Jackson. Even though J.C. he gets a lot of interceptions. He had 8 last year. He had 9 the year before. But J.C. Jackson ain't really a shutdown corner. But Tre'Davious White, I mean, he's not either. But I think he's a little bit more shutdown than J.C. But yeah, J.C. Jackson, Marlon Humphrey, Xavier Howard to round it out. Interior lineman, we got Aaron Donald at number 1, which that's really all that matters. I mean, Aaron Donald might just be the best player in all the NFL, regardless of position. If you say anybody other than Aaron Donald is the best interior lineman in the NFL, you're wrong. Well, hell, not just interior lineman. I would say Aaron Donald is the best defensive lineman in the game, period. Whether we're talking a 3-4 defensive end or a 4-3 defensive end or a 4-3 defensive tackle. Aaron Donald gets double teamed almost every time the ball is snapped. Hell, sometimes he gets triple teamed. When Aaron Donald's not getting sacks, when he's not getting the quarterback hurries, when he's not getting the QB hits, he's creating plays for Leonard Floyd and the rest of the Rams defense. Nobody else is making that kind of impact on the defensive side of the ball like Aaron Donald. So if you're going to tell me that there's a D lineman better than Aaron Donald, I'm going to call you a liar. Let's see, the rest of the rankings, Cameron Hayward, Vita Vea, not Josh Allen, but Jonathan Allen, Chris Jones, DeForest Buckner, Kenny Clark, Jeffrey Simmons, Titans, Michael Pierce, Fletcher Cox. I wouldn't change anything here either. I would say, Cameron Hayward next to Aaron Donald is the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL. If Aaron Donald wasn't playing football, then Cameron Hayward would be the best interior defensive lineman in the game. He's a good run stopper, gets after the quarterback. He's a leader on that Steelers defense. Vita Vea, he's a really big dude. I mean, if you're gonna have a successful 3-4 defense, you gotta have a big ass nose tackle in the middle who demands double teams. You gotta have a big ass nose tackle who can penetrate those gaps and stop the run. But Vita Vea ain't just a good run stopper. He can also get after the quarterback a little bit too. Jonathan Allen, ever since the Washington Commanders switched over to a 4-3 defense, he now plays defensive tackle, and he's been pretty damn good at it. Chris Jones of the Chiefs, he's pretty good. DeForest Buckner, he's pretty damn good. I don't think I would change anything here, but shout out to Jeffrey Simmons. Now, if this is your first time watching my podcast, other than the Kentucky Wildcats, I'm a diehard Tennessee Titans fan. So, I'm happy to see some Titans players make the Madden top 10 rankings. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons, when we drafted him 3 years ago, I knew we was getting a good player. I mean, he's pretty damn good. He kind of reminded me of Jarrell Casey a little bit, but he is bigger and taller. Jarrell Casey was only 6 feet tall, about 300 pounds even. Jeffrey Simmons is 6'4". I think he weighs about 320. And he gets after the quarterback, stops the run. Pretty good athlete for a guy size 2. So I'm glad to see him. Running back, we got Derrick Henry number 1. Yeah, that's right. Derrick Henry's number 1. Argue with your mama if you disagree. Even though Derrick Henry missed half the season because of injuries, when he did play, he led the league in rushing yards. Jonathan Taylor, who Colts fans try to say is better than Derrick Henry, finished the league in rushing yards. But let's be honest here, it only happened because Derrick Henry got hurt. If Derrick Henry doesn't get hurt, Jonathan Taylor wouldn't have won the rushing crown last year. Because Derrick Henry had Jonathan Taylor beat by 300 yards before he got injured and was out for the season. Speaking of Jonathan Taylor, Madden has Jonathan Taylor as the 4th best running back in the game. They got Nick Chubb ahead of him and Christian McCaffrey ahead of him. Dalvin Cook is 5th, Joe Mixon 6th, Alvin Kamara 7, Aaron Jones 8, Austin Eckler 9, Ezekiel Elliott at 10. Now, Christian McCaffrey, to me, should not be in the top 10 because he can't stay healthy. I mean, he was great when he was healthy. I mean, there's only been 3 running backs in NFL history to gain 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the same season. Christian McCaffrey's one of them. But ever since that season, he can't stay healthy. So, I'm not going to put him in the top 10. Personally, I would drop Christian McCaffrey and put Josh Jacobs in there. But Henry is still number 1. Nick Chubb is still number 2. I would bump Jonathan Taylor up to 3. Dalvin Cook up to 4. Joe Mixon up to 5. And the rest the same. Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Jacobs. Nick Chubb, I think he's the best pure runner in the game after Derrick Henry. So, you got to put him in number 2. Jonathan Taylor, though, I mean, even though he plays for the Colts, even though I hate him because he plays for the Colts, he's a damn good talent. I think one day we could be talking about Jonathan Taylor as the best running back in the game. But as long as Derrick Henry is still a beast, Jonathan Taylor takes a backseat. Dalvin Cook, he dealt with injuries his first couple of years, but ever since he's been healthy, he's been able to gain 1,100 yards every year. 2020, Dalvin Cook had 1,500 yards, and he was 2nd in the league in rushing yards. You know who was first, though? Derrick Henry, who had over 2,000. Yeah, Mixon, he's dealt with injuries in his career, but last year he was fully healthy, and I think he finished fifth in the league in rushing yards. So Joe Mixon, easily top five. Now Alvin Kamara, I don't know. Some people think that a running back that doesn't get over 1,000 yards shouldn't be in the top five, but I think you could make an exception for Alvin Kamara. I mean, every year he's been in the league, he's had at least 700 rushing yards. Every year he's been in the league, he's had at least 400 receiving yards. I mean, unless McCaffrey is healthy, Alvin Kamara is the best all-purpose back in the league. So, hey, why not put Alvin Kamara in the top five? And then there's the safeties. They got Tyrann Mathieu as number one, followed by Darwin James, Budda Baker, Kevin Beyerd, Micah Hyde, Justin Simmons, Jesse Bates the third, Jordan Poyer, Harrison Smith, Jamal Adams. Now, in my personal opinion, I think Justin Simmons of the Broncos is the best safety in the game. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes good players get stuck in bad situations and there's nothing they can do about it. But I mean, the Broncos do have a new quarterback, so they might make it to the playoffs this year, and more people can see how good Justin Simmons really is. I would probably put Derwin James at number two. Now, Derwin James, the biggest problem with him so far in his short career has been health. His rookie year, he was Defensive Rookie of the Year. Then he got injured and missed, I think, half the 2019 season, all of the 2020 season. But last year he was healthy and bounced back in a big way. So if he can stay healthy, yeah, I don't have a problem putting him top two. But if he wants to be the best safety in the game, he's going to have to stay healthy. And then I would go Kevin Beyerd at three. I think, now I could be wrong here, but ever since Kevin Beyerd was drafted, nobody's picked off more passes than Kevin Beyerd. Now, he isn't just a ball hawk. I mean, he also helps out in stopping the run. He's a sure tackler. He's great. Now, he did give up 6 touchdowns last year, but I ain't going to hold that against him too much because our defense kind of sucked early on in the season. But Beyerd, it definitely ain't Byard's fault our defense sucked. So, yeah, Beyerd 3. I would put Tyrann Mathieu at 4. I'd put Jordan Poyer at 5. And then I would go Budda Baker 6, Micah Hyde 7, Jesse Bates at 8, Harrison Smith at 9, and number 10 I would go Devin McCourty. Jamal Adams is who Madden has as the 10th best, but my personal opinion, Jamal Adams is overrated. I mean, he's really just an undersized linebacker playing safety. I mean, he's good at getting after the quarterback, but he ain't very good in coverage. And Devin McCourty is a damn good player in coverage, and he also brings you a little versatility. I mean, he ain't getting any younger, but still, I would rather have Devin McCourty over Jamal Adams. Alright, so we're moving on. Kicker. Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Justin Tucker, that guy is the number 1 kicker with a 90 overall. I mean, some things you just can't argue. Like I was saying earlier, if you think there's a better defensive lineman than Aaron Donald, you're wrong. It's the same thing with the kicker position. If you think there's a better kicker than Justin Tucker right now, you're wrong. The dude made 94% of his kicks last year. 94%. I believe he was 100% on extra points. And he now is the NFL record holder for the longest field goal with a 66-yard field goal. So if you're going to tell me that somebody's a better kicker than Justin Tucker, I'm going to be like, you're wrong. So then they got Harrison Butker, Evan McPherson, Chris Boswell, Young Ho Koo, Graham Gano, Daniel Carlson, Robbie Gould, Matt Gay, Nick Folk. So yeah, I'm not going to change anything here. Okay, what's next? Edge rushers. Myles Garrett. Yeah. Myles Garrett is the best edge rusher in the league. Myles Garrett, in my personal opinion, is the best D lineman, not named Aaron Donald. Myles Garrett has been a beast since he got drafted. I mean, he's had, well, except for his rookie year, he's had at least 10 sacks every season. Last year, he had a career high 16 sacks, and he's in his prime. He's not getting any. He's going to continue to get better. But as long as Aaron Donald is playing football, Myles Garrett is going to be the second best defensive lineman in all of football. And then After Myles Garrett, there's T.J. Watt. Yeah, I agree here. I mean, T.J. Watt, he's the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. He's a damn good edge rusher at that 3-4 outside linebacker. But he isn't just a good edge rusher. He also is pretty good in coverage, too. Nick Bosa's next. Agreed. Von Miller. I mean, he's not getting any younger, but Von Miller can still get it done. So, I guess I wouldn't have a problem with Von Miller fourth. Khalil Mack next. Khalil Mack and Von Miller, I mean, both of them are future first ballot Hall of Famers, but I think I give Von just the slight edge because Von has proven that he can get the job done in the playoffs. He won Super Bowl MVP for the Broncos back in 2015. And then he helped the Rams win the Super Bowl last year. I mean, looking like his old self again. Khalil Mack, I mean, it's not any fault of his own. I mean, he only made it to the playoffs once with the Raiders, and then he was stuck with the Bears, and that was just he wasn't about to win with the Bears. But he is on a better team now. He is with the Chargers, so who knows? Maybe he can help the Chargers get to the Super Bowl next year. I don't know. Cameron Jordan, I mean, he ain't getting any younger, but he's still a pretty damn good edge rusher. DeMarcus Lawrence, Chandler Jones, Joey Bosa, Rashawn Gary. Nah, I don't think I would change anything. And then we got the linebackers. They got Fred Warner at number 1, followed by Demario Davis, Levante David, Bobby Wagner, Darius Leonard, Roquan Smith, Micah Parsons, Eric Hendricks, Devondre Campbell, Devin White. Now, in my personal opinion, Darius Leonard is the best linebacker in the game. He should be ahead of Fred Warner. I would put Fred Warner at 2. Yeah, Levante David could stay at 3. Bobby Wagner at 4. I would bump Devin White up to 5. He is mad underrated if they think he's the 10th best linebacker. So yeah, Roquan Smith could stay at 6. Micah Parsons could stay at 7. Eric Hendricks can be 8. Devondre Campbell can be 9th. And 10th, I guess Demario Davis. I'll move him down to 10th instead of number 2. Yeah, would I make any changes here? Probably, yeah. No. I'll just leave it there. And then receiver, my favorite position on the offensive side of the ball. My favorite position on the defensive side is cornerback. Anyways, receivers, Devante Adams is number 1. No argument here. He's the best route runner in the game. He got some of the best hands in the game. He's not freakishly athletic, but a good enough athlete to consistently create separation. And he demands double teams every time he's on the field. So, yeah, Devante Adams should be number 1. Followed by Devante Adams is Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. Now, I like Cooper Kupp, but for me, he's not the second best corner. He's not the second best receiver in the game. Now, I've been going back and forth with a lot of fans, with some of my Facebook friends in these sports groups, because these motherfuckers are saying that Cooper Kupp is not a top 5 receiver, which, I mean, I don't agree, but if you don't think Cooper Kupp is a top 5 receiver, fine. But these motherfuckers trying to say that Cooper Kupp is not a top 10 receiver. And their rationale is that, he's only had one good season. But that's not true. I mean, Cooper Kupp had 1,000 yards 2 years ago. He's had at least 90 receptions every year for the last 3 years. And he's had 1,000 yards in 2 of the last 3 seasons. That, to me, is good enough for top 10. What more do you want Cooper Kupp to do? And then they say, he plays in the slot. Well, yeah, he does do a lot of damage from the slot, but he doesn't just line up in the slot exclusively. He does play on the outside at times, and he does do well on the outside. I mean, the Bengals couldn't stop him. So, I mean, he's doing something right. But yeah, number 2, I would go a healthy DeAndre Hopkins. Number 3, Mike Evans. I personally think he should be in the top 5. top 3 really. I mean, how do you have a guy who's had 1,000 yards every year outside of the top 5? Come on now. Like, there have been a lot of great receivers in the NFL, but no receiver has ever gone 8 for 8 in their first 8 years. 8 years in the league, 8 1,000-yard seasons. Now, who knows? Next year, Mike Evans might not get 1,000 yards, but he's 8 for 8. You gotta have him in the top 5, like for real. 4th, I would go. I guess I would put Justin Jefferson at 4th, and Cooper Kupp at 5th. 6th, yeah, Tyreek Hill. I'll put him at 6. I'll put Jamar Chase at 7. Now, I'm seeing some people put Jamar Chase in the top 5 at the receiver position, but no. At least not yet. He had a great rookie year, but let's pump the brakes just for a second before we put Jamar Chase in the top 5. Because I've seen plenty of NFL players, regardless of position, have a great rookie year only to turn around and have a sophomore slump. So let's not put Jamar Chase in the top 5 just yet. Yeah, I like Terry McLaurin. I like Keenan Allen. I like Amari Cooper, but I'm not sure that those guys are top 10. So yeah, like I was saying, Devante, DeAndre, Mike Evans, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp. Oh shit, I forgot about Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, I would put at 6. Tyreek Hill 7. 8 and 9. Yeah, actually, number 8, I'm gonna go AJ Brown. I mean, I wish he was still with the Titans, but AJ Brown is a top 10 receiver. I mean, he's had 1,000 yards in 2 of the 3 seasons he's played, and he's done it with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. I mean, no disrespect to Tannehill, but Tannehill is just an alright quarterback. But AJ is going from one alright quarterback to another alright quarterback in Jalen Hurts. He might not get 1,000 yards this year, but who knows? Maybe Jalen Hurts will take the next step in his development. Because, I mean, you've got weapons now. So, you got 2 number 1 receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So, there's no excuse for Jalen Hurts this year. But anyways, yeah, I'd go A.J. Brown at number 8. Deebo Samuel at 9. And yeah, Amari Cooper at 10. Now, there's some people that think Deebo Samuel was better than A.J. Brown. And that's fine. But me personally, I don't think Deebo Samuel is better than A.J. Brown. Here's why. Okay, so both A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel were drafted in 2019. But A.J. Brown has had 2 1,000-yard seasons. Deebo's only had 1. Now, granted, one of those years, Deebo Samuel missed half the season because of injuries, but A.J. Brown's worst year is better than Deebo Samuel's worst year. Now, granted, Deebo Samuel, he was pretty good last year, but like I said, he's only had 1 1,000-yard season. A.J. Brown has had 2. Now, Deebo, he is a little bit more versatile than A.J., but I think A.J. is a better receiver. I mean, he's a better route runner. He got better hands. I mean, he's freakishly athletic. I mean, a guy who's that big shouldn't be able to move that quick and that fast. But A.J. Brown is a damn good player and very exciting to watch. Like I said, I wish we still had him, but we traded him. Treylon Burks, I know you're never going to see this video. You probably never will, but if you do ever see this video, I hope you turn out to be great, because we gave up a damn good receiver just to draft you. But yeah, number 10, yeah, Amari Cooper. I mean, he had a down year last year, but I think he'll bounce back this year, especially if Deshaun Watson ends up playing. Now, Deshaun Watson, I considered him for the top 10 because when he last played, he led the league in passing yards, and he had 33 touchdown passes versus only 7 picks. Now, he is going to be a little bit rusty since he hasn't played football in over a season, but yeah, I do think Amari Cooper would bounce back, and I personally think Deshaun Watson shouldn't be suspended because he wasn't found guilty of anything. I mean, yeah, I know 24 women accused him of sexual misconduct or sexual assault I mean, that looks pretty bad, but if any of them had substantial evidence that would hold up in court, they would have pressed charges instead of settling. But anyways, moving on. Last but not least, the tight end position. Yeah, we got Travis Kelsey at number 1, followed by George Kittle, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, T.J. Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, Mike Gesicki, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry. Now, the only change I would make here is Dalton Schultz. I would drop Zach Ertz and add Dalton Schultz. Now, I mean, Zach Ertz, yeah, he's still good, but he ain't getting any younger. Dalton Schultz is in the prime of his career, so yeah, bye-bye, Zach. Oh, yeah, Travis Kelsey, yeah, he's the best tight end in the game. Like, how you going to argue against him? He's had 1,000 yards for 6 consecutive seasons now, which is a record for the tight end position. Chances are he's going to get 7. He's going to have 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons because Tyreek Hill is gone, and the Chiefs really don't have a true number 1 receiver because Juju Smith is not a number 1, and neither is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think he plays for the Chiefs now. But yeah, Travis Kelsey, I'd be surprised if he doesn't get 1,000 yards. Now, George Kittle, I mean, I guess you could argue George Kittle over Travis Kelsey, but for me, I'm going with Kelsey over Kittle because Kelsey is more, he's durable. I mean, George Kittle, he's had some injury problems these last few years, but last year he was healthy and put up some good numbers. I mean, he is a better blocker than Travis Kelsey, but that durability makes a big difference. Plus, I think Travis Kelsey is just slightly better as a pass catcher. Yeah, Mark Andrews, he had a career year last year, so yeah, he's top 3. He can block, he can catch. Not quite as dynamic as George Kittle and Travis Kelsey, but still a damn good tight end in his own right. And Darren Waller, he had a down year last year, but I still think he's a top 5 tight end. Darren Waller is a unicorn. A tight end, he's 6'6", almost 250 pounds. A tight end that size should not be able to move as quickly and as fast as he does. But he does it. I mean, he defies logic. I mean, if he was a better blocker, he'd arguably be the best tight end in the game because Darren Waller is just as good of a pass catcher as Kelsey and Kittle. I think he's just a little bit better than Mark Andrews as a pass catcher too. T.J. Hawkinson, yeah, he's a good player, bad team. Kyle Pitts, another good player, bad team. Even though he only scored 1 touchdown, his rookie year was a special season because there's only been 2 tight ends to gain 1,000 yards as a rookie, and Kyle Pitts is one of them. The first was Mike Ditka way back in like the 60s. I would put Goddard over Mike Gesicki because Goddard can block, but yeah, both of them are really good tight ends. It just sucks for them that neither one of them have great quarterbacks throwing up the ball. I mean, Goddard has Jalen Hurts, whereas Mike Gesicki has Tua. Like I said, Dalton Schultz at number 9. Now, Dak is a good quarterback. He just folds under pressure. I mean, Schultz, he's a solid blocker, improved as a pass catcher. I mean, he's in the prime of his career. I think he's going to continue to get better. He's just not top 10 good. Or he's just not top 5 good, excuse me. And then rounding out the top 10 is Hunter Henry. I mean, he's had some injuries, but still a top 10 quarterback. So, man, that was a lot of players to evaluate. That went through every position. For the most part, I agreed with them, but I did make some slight changes. So, if you're tired of hearing about football, the good news is now we can switch over to basketball. Now, this topic has really been burning at me since I saw it on Facebook. Now, I don't know if you guys follow the Black Adam Schefter page, but they posted a meme that said, maturing is when you realize that Ray Allen is a better shooting guard than Klay Thompson. Oh my God. When I first saw that meme, my first reaction was, seriously, who puts Klay Thompson ahead of Ray Allen? And then I was reading the comments, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, there's seriously people that think Klay Thompson is better than Ray Allen. Like, what is wrong with y'all? Now, look, I get it. We all have different opinions. Like, we're not always all going to agree, but I'm just confused as to how Klay Thompson is better than Ray Allen. I mean, no, really, what makes Klay better than Ray Allen? Serious question. Is it because he has more rings? I mean, Ray's got 2, while Klay's got 4. Now, my personal opinion, the ring argument is stupid. I don't like it. I mean, it's when you use rings as the end-all, be-all, that just annoys me. Like, if rings is one of your top 3 reasons to why you think one player is better than the other, the chances, there's a good chance that the player that you think is better really is not better. Yeah, I saw one guy. He claimed that Klay Thompson is a better all-around player than Ray Allen. And I'm just like, are you serious right now? Klay Thompson's a better all-around player than Ray Allen? How? I mean, Klay's a better defensive player, but that's it. Ray Allen is a better scorer and a better shooter. I mean, Klay is really just an overglorified 3-and-D player. Like, I've never seen a star shooting guard that can't dribble. Like, this motherfucker ain't got nobody's handles. He can't create his own shot, but y'all think he better than Ray Allen. Come on now. Ray Allen, now yeah, granted, towards the end of his career, Ray Allen was really just a spot-up shooter. But prime Ray Allen and peak Ray Allen could create his own shot. Prime and peak Ray Allen could break you down off the dribble, shoot it in your face, or get by you and dunk on you at the rim. Prime Ray Allen was a monster. Prime Ray Allen, like, this dude tried to say that Klay was a better rebounder than Ray Allen. Really? Klay Thompson in his career is I think 3 rebounds per game. I think that's his average. Ray Allen for his career averaged like 4 rebounds per game, which is not great, but that's better than Klay. I mean, Ray Allen, he had 4 or 5 seasons where he averaged at least 5 rebounds per game. Klay doesn't have 1. Ray Allen's a better passer than Klay. I mean, Ray Allen, I think, had 4 seasons where he averaged 4 or more assists per game. Klay's never averaged more than 3. Really, the only thing Klay Thompson can do better than Ray Allen is defend, because he definitely ain't a better shooter. I mean, Ray Allen can do everything Klay can, just better off the dribble, better in the catch and shoot. He can actually dunk and put you on a poster. I'm talking about prime Ray Allen, of course, but yeah, like, come on, Klay Thompson, come on now. Ray Allen is certified. Ray Allen is a top 10 shooter guard all time. I'm not sure that Klay Thompson is. Okay, guys, sorry about the delay. Had to tend to my baby boy. He was hungry. Like I was saying, Ray Allen is a top 10 shooting guard all time. He's certified. Klay Thompson, I mean, even with 4 rings, I'm not certain that Klay Thompson is a top 10 shooting guard all time. You got the GOAT, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Allen Iverson, Jerry West. That's 5 right there. And then 6 through 10, you got my man Ray Allen. You got James Harden. You got Clyde Drexler, George Gervin, Reggie Miller. Now, to me, 1 through 5 is set in stone. There's no change. It's never going to change. That's just my personal opinion. 1 through 5 is never going to change. It would take a lot in order for me to drop one of them from the top 5. Well, at least in our lifetime, it's not going to change. Now, 6 through 10, there's a little bit of wiggle room, but as long as we live in, top 5 shooting guards are always going to remain Jordan, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Iverson, Jerry West. Or you could go Iverson 3, Dwayne Wade 4. But either way, that's the top 5. And 6 through 10, again, Ray Allen, James Harden, Clyde Drexler, George Gervin, Reggie. Now, if James Harden wins a championship and plays exceptionally well in the finals, I might just have to put Jerry West out of the top 5 and Harden in. But we'll see if that happens. But yeah, even if we were to take some of these guys out, Klay is still not a top 10 shooting guard all time. We could take out Jerry West because back when he was playing, there was no distinction between point guard and shooting guard. I mean, if we were to count Jerry West as a point guard, yeah, I mean, we could put him top 5 there too. We could take out Clyde Drexler and George Gervin and count them as small forwards. But even if we took those 3 out, Klay Thompson is still not a top 10 shooting guard all time. Because Klay Thompson's not better than Vince Carter. And yeah, prime for prime, give me Vince Carter over Klay. Well, actually, no, Now, granted, Vince Carter, yeah, towards the end of his career, he was just riding the bench, collecting checks. But pre-prime Vince Carter, prime Vince Carter, peak Vince Carter was better than pre-prime Klay, prime Klay, and peak Klay. Tracy McGrady, if we want to count him as a shooting guard, better than Klay Thompson. I mean, Tracy was a do-it-all player. Hell, Kobe even said Tracy McGrady is one of the toughest players he ever had to guard. He could score, he could shoot, he was freakishly athletic, had tight handles. He just wasn't a winner. He just couldn't lead a team deep into the postseason. Pistol Pete was better than Klay Thompson. Although I never got to see him play live, I mean, I've seen his highlights, and man, that motherfucker has some damn good handles. I mean, he could do things with a basketball that Klay Thompson only wishes he could do. Manu Ginobili was better than Klay. Yeah, maybe not defensively, but Manu he wasn't bad. He was not a bad defender. I mean, in my opinion, he was actually a good one. I mean, maybe not all NBA good, but he was a good defender. He could score, he could shoot, he was athletic. So yeah, like, how does Klay fit in? How is Klay better than Ray Allen? Someone, please tell me. Because yeah, I mean, you look at, like I was saying before, Klay has no handles. Like, I've never seen, well, I guess Reggie Miller too. I've never seen a star shooting guard that can't handle the ball. I ain't never seen a star shooting guard that got to have a million screens set for him in order for him to score. Now look, I'm not saying Klay Thompson's a bad player. I'm not trying to sound like a hater, but Klay Thompson, he's not that good. I mean, yeah, he may not have been picked for the top 75 NBA players, but I mean, Klay's gonna go to the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's one of the greatest shooters ever. He's got 4 rings. He's gonna get in. I just don't think he's a top 10 shooting guard. Maybe not even top 15. Because, like I was saying, motherfucker can't create off the dribble. He's not a finisher. I mean, he's not a playmaker. He's just a catch and shoot specialist with good. He's just a 3-and-D player. I mean, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Ray Allen, Iverson, Jerry West, Dwayne Wade, Harden, Clyde, George, Vince, Tracy, Manu, all those guys could create their own shot off the dribble. All those guys could get to the rim and finish if they needed to. Now, that was another one. The guy that said, "Oh, Klay Thompson's more well-rounded than Ray," he was saying, "Oh, Klay doesn't create off the dribble and do all that slashing because he doesn't need to." No, it's not because he doesn't need to. It's just because the motherfucker can't do it. I mean, again, I'm not saying Klay is bad, but I don't know what makes y'all think Klay Thompson is better than Ray Allen. But for me, I mean, it ain't the fact that he can't dribble as to why I don't have him in the top 10. It's just like, he's just not a leader. Well, okay, that is part of the reason. He can't dribble, but okay, yeah, I'm sorry. That's kind of funny that I say that, but yeah. Motherfucker can't dribble. But I think the biggest reason why is because Klay is robbing. He been robbing his whole damn career. Klay Thompson is not a Batman. He never was a Batman. Ray Allen, yeah, even though he never won a championship as a number 1 guy, he was able to lead the Bucks to the playoffs. In 2001, the Bucks pushed the 76ers to the limit and almost got to the NBA Finals. in 2000, I think it was 2005, Ray Allen was with the Sonics. They won 50 games. I think they were the 3 seed in the West. They made it to the second round. They pushed the Spurs to the limit. I ain't never seen Klay Thompson do that. And I don't think he could lead a team to the playoffs either. But Ray Allen did. Ray Allen was Batman for the Bucks and the Sonics. I mean, Jordan was always Batman. Kobe was Batman after Shaq left. Dwayne Wade was Batman until he joined forces with LeBron. And he became Robin. Iverson was always a Batman, at least in his prime years with the Sixers. Jerry West, I guess you could say he was Batman. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain was on his way out the door when he joined the Lakers. Well, they kind of both were on their way out the door when the Lakers won, but anyways, Jerry West was Batman. James Harden was Batman in Houston. Clyde Drexler was Batman in Portland. George Gervin was Batman with the Spurs. Reggie Miller was Batman for the Pacers. But Klay Thompson ain't never been Batman. He ain't never been the number one guy. Hell, Vince Carter was the number one guy. Tracy McGrady was the number one guy. Pistol Pete, I guess you could say he was the number one guy for the Hawks when he played for the Hawks. But y'all want to tell me Klay Thompson is better than Ray Allen? Like, come on now, get real. Alright, so before I close out this podcast, I gotta get into my wrestling bag. Vince McMahon announced his retirement amid these sexual misconduct scandals that he done found himself in. Now, Vince McMahon, when it comes to Vince McMahon, you gotta take the good with the bad. Now, look, I'm not excusing the bad shit that he did. Now, yeah, Vince McMahon is a pervert who cheated on his wife with multiple women. Vince McMahon turned a blind eye when his superstars were taking steroids in the 90s. Vince McMahon didn't try to stop them from using steroids when wrestlers were dying young. But with all that being said, I mean, Vince McMahon, he's a genius. Vince McMahon knows the wrestling business. Vince McMahon made wrestling cool. Because, I mean, yeah, nowadays wrestling is not so cool, but in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was cool to be a wrestling fan. And Vince McMahon was a big reason why. I remember back in 1998, I watched wrestling for the first time, and it was WrestleMania 14. I went to my uncle's house. My Uncle Paul, rest in peace. He was a big wrestling fan. He would always watch Monday Night Raw. He would order the pay-per-views every month. And one day, I decided to go over there to watch WrestleMania with Paul and my cousins. And after watching WrestleMania, I'm just thinking to myself, why haven't I been watching wrestling this whole time? Like, this is some good stuff. Like, I still remember WrestleMania 14 like it was yesterday. That match between Undertaker and Kane, classic. Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold. It wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't great. I mean, I'm surprised Shawn was able to perform given how bad his back was. I still remember The Rock hitting Ken Shamrock with those brass knuckles and hiding the brass knuckles in his trousers, so Ken Shamrock would get disqualified. I enjoyed WrestleMania, and I was hooked on wrestling from that point on. Now, I don't watch wrestling religiously like I used to, but, I mean, I still love wrestling, and Vince McMahon is a big reason why. Competition, it can bring out the best in you, or it can bring out the worst in you. And in Vince McMahon's case, it brought out the best in him. Because, yeah, if they didn't win the Monday Night Wars, WWE wouldn't be in business right now. We'd be watching WCW Monday Nitro and WCW Thunder instead of watching WWE Raw and SmackDown. Well, and NXT as well. Yeah, Vince, I don't know if y'all have seen the Monday Night Wars documentary, but if you haven't seen it, check it out. Now, it is a long documentary, but it's well worth the watch. Okay, y'all, I'm back again. had to tend to the baby boy again, but he's good now. So, like I was saying, competition can bring out the best in you, or it can bring out the worst in you. Now, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember in the Monday Night Wars documentary, I remember them saying that Nitro beat Raw in the ratings 93 consecutive weeks, I believe. You know, I mean, I don't know at what point Vince McMahon was like, I gotta sink. If I don't do something, I'm gonna sink. So it's either sink or swim. I gotta swim. Vince chose to swim, and boy did he swim. Vince McMahon, I mean, he made wrestling. He made it cool to be a wrestling fan. He made it was more edgy. It was sexier. It was funny. It was larger than life. It was cool to be a wrestling fan during the 90s and the early 2000s. And a lot of that is because of Vince McMahon's genius. Now, like I was saying, sometimes competition can bring the best out in you. The NWO, I mean, they were edgy and cool themselves. So Vince McMahon had to do something in order to combat the NWO. And boy, did he did a lot of something. I mean, he made Stone Cold a star. He pushed Degeneration X, Sable, Undertaker, Kane. Yeah, it's like, cause yeah, if WCW would have won the Monday Night Wars, we wouldn't be watching Raw. We wouldn't be watching Raw and SmackDown right now. We'd be watching Nitro and Thunder. We wouldn't be watching WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, or Royal Rumble. We'd be watching Starrcade. We'd be watching Bash at the Beach. We'd be watching Fall Brawl, the War Games. We'd be watching WCW World War III. But yeah, it was Vince McMahon's genius turned wrestling into I guess you could say $1 billion industry. I don't know how. I mean, I would be shocked if Vince is not a billionaire, because WWE is huge. I mean, it's the biggest name in the wrestling business. And a lot of it is because of Vince McMahon's genius. I mean, he gave a lot of guys a chance who otherwise wouldn't have been given a chance, like Stone Cold. I mean, Stone Cold, he wrestled in WCW as well as ECW, but he was a mid-card wrestler in those promotions. He never really got a chance to be a main eventer. Triple H is another one. In WCW, he was known as Terrorizing. Then he comes to the WWE and becomes Hunter Hearst Helmsley. At that point, when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, he was pretty much Richie Rich in a wrestling ring. Then he became a punk rebel, Triple H. Then he became The Game and became one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Undertaker's another one. He went from Mean Mark Callis to The Undertaker, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Eddie Guerrero's another one. Eddie Guerrero, he had some success in WCW. He was a Cruiserweight champion. I believe he was the United States champion and World Television champion too, but Eddie Guerrero never really got a chance to be a main eventer. I mean, pretty much WCW, if you wasn't NWO, they didn't give a fuck about you. You know, too much of anything can be a bad thing, and that, to me, the WCW overdid it with the NWO, and that's why they went out of business, because people got tired of it just NWO this and NWO that. I mean, WWE gave you something different. You'd have Stone Cold, you had The Rock, Taker, DX. It wasn't just the same person every single week, or the same group every single week. You know what I mean? I mean, Vince McMahon, like I said, genius. Who else? There was somebody else. His name, just wait for it. It'll come to me. Well, no, I'm not gonna mention him. And Chris Benoit, but shoot, what is that guy's name? Let me check my notes here. Oh, well, I guess that was all the people I was gonna say. But yeah, Vince McMahon, even though he made a lot of guys stars, I mean, there was a lot of guys that he never really gave a chance. Like, two of my favorite wrestlers from the Ruthless Aggression era were Montel Vontavious Porter, a.k.a. MVP, and John Morrison. MVP and John Morrison, they had everything you wanted in a superstar. They had the looks. They had good. They They had the looks. They could work the mic. They put on good matches. But did they ever get a chance to be a WWE champion? Nope. I mean, Vince McMahon teased us with John Morrison. I mean, he had him in the Royal Rumble showing off his parkour, but he didn't let John Morrison actually win the Royal Rumble. He let John Morrison challenge Sheamus for the WWE Championship, but did he let him win the championship? No. I mean, MVP. I only remember MVP getting a shot at the championship once, and that was in the Elimination Chamber, but he lost. I mean, John Morrison left WWE, but then he came back, and now he's gone again. MVP came back, and he's still in the WWE, but yeah, again, Vince McMahon doesn't always get it right. I mean, John Morrison, in my personal opinion, was better than The Miz, and he should have been a WWE champion at least once. MVP should have been a world champion at least once. Vince McMahon, he really never gave. There was somebody else who was really good that he never really gave a chance, but Vince, he didn't always do right. I mean, I do think Vince McMahon is partially responsible for Chris Benoit's death. I mean, Vince McMahon, it really wasn't until Benoit died to where he started taking steroids seriously and suspending people for abusing performance-enhancing drugs. I do partially blame Vince McMahon for Owen Hart's death, because Owen was afraid of heights, and Vince made him do the whole Blue Blazer thing anyway. And Owen, unfortunately, fell to his death. I partially blame Vince for these wrestlers having health problems, because he turned a blind eye to them shooting up steroids in the 90s. But overall, again, you gotta take the good but the bad when it comes to Vince McMahon. And I just want to say thank you again, Vince McMahon, for making me a wrestling fan. Thank you for entertaining me as well as millions of other fans all throughout my childhood. Thank you for making my childhood awesome. Alright, y'all, that's all I got for y'all tonight. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of your night, and be on the lookout for another episode of the Wildcats and More podcast.